Jacobs Insurance Agency has served Shiawassee County and the surrounding areas since 1977. Just like 3 Point Podcast, we've had 3 generations: Gary Jacobs Sr., Gary Jacobs II, Brian Jacobs, and myself, Noah Jacobs, serving our community, with offices in Waterford and Owasso on M21, just west of Home Depot. Stop in or go online to jacobsinsurance.com to get a quote or get your questions answered by our team. Jacobs Insurance is a proud supporter of our local schools and the proud sponsor of the Prep Spotlight. Insure everything, local, independent, and trusted. It's our family working together to protect yours. That's the Jacobs way.
All right, guys, kind of a shorter one here today. We got we had the D3 regional final where Langsburg, I guess we jinxed them having their head coach on that day,
Yeah.
but Lumen Christi down Langsburg 53-47 to finish 25-1 for the second straight season. But I mean, 50-2 for 2 years, not bad for Xander Woodruff and his senior teammates, and he finished with 30 in that game. So another great run by the Wolfpack. Sorry to see them go, but a great run.
Yeah, what can you tell us about that game against Lumen Christi? Sounds like Lumen Christi, who ended up, I think, losing to, was it Gabriel Richard? Is that right?
I think so.
Yeah. In the quarterfinals, but sounds like they just kind of had a lot of athletes that they were able to throw at Xander, and it just kind of was a little bit too much.
They did, I think, and their defense. A lot of times defense gets overlooked, but they really put clamp down D on Langsburg. The other players were a little bit off kilter, and once you get behind a little bit, it's tough to fight your way back. Still, it was a great season. Lumen Christi, got to give them some credit. Of course, it helped them to have the home court too. It was loud in there, and a big win by them there to get that regional championship. And the finals this weekend at Breslin. Any storylines, Jared, that you have?
I mean, the number one, like I said, when people listen to this, we'll see. But my number one story right now, well, there's a few. So Warren Lincoln, who they like to call their offensive defensive scheme 32 minutes of hell. They are in their very first trip to the Breslin ever, just won their first regional ever. They're a really fun story in Division II, probably the favorite in Division II. But the biggest matchup, which is the nightcap tonight, is I want to say Grand Rapids Catholic Central. I want to make sure I have the right. There's so many Grand Rapids Catholic I think it's Grand Rapids Catholic actually. Christian, right? I think it's Grand Rapids Christian. Grand Rapids Christian versus Chelsea. Who Chelsea, their stud is Joey Cabana, who Cole Cabana is like his cousin, Michigan running back. But his mom is the head coach, and she won a state finals 2-3 years ago with a girls team. I'm blanking on the school's name. But that's a really fun story that, hey, this is your star player is your son. It's just a cool story. I've never heard of a mom coaching a son like that. I don't know if you have, Ted, but
no, that's an awesome story.
Yeah. And then obviously you have Trey McKinney, the Flint kid, who ended up, because of the way Flint schools are right now, ended up at Orchard Lake St. Mary. They seem to be the team that nobody can touch in Division I. So we'll see if anybody can upset them. But those are kind of the few main stories I have picked out right now.
Quick question on Orchard Lake St. Mary. I know the kid from Ovid Elsie transferred and went to school there. And is he concentrating only on football, or is he on the basketball team? Do you know?
I have no idea, to be honest.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
I don't know. I don't believe he's on the basketball team.
Okay.
Or at least not one of the first names that comes to my mind when I think of their team, but right. I don't believe so. Okay. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, to be honest.
Well, another big weekend at the Breslin for sure with the boys. On the girls' side, in D3, New Lothrop, a little bit of a surprising late run this year. They picked up a 41-38 win in the district finals. So actually they picked up a win in the regional finals, so they're on to the quarterfinals now. They're led by a freshman and sophomore. I mean, they have a freshman that put up 29 points in the district final, Caitlin Wendling, and she had 23 and 10 rebounds in their regional game. So New Lothrop Hornets again doing it on the girls' side, 20-7 on the season in the quarterfinals. So good luck to them next Tuesday. They play their quarterfinal up at Dansville.
So now you'll be talking about them for the next 2 or 3 years. If they've got a freshman and sophomore leading this run,
we'll
be hearing more about them.
They might hang another banner there to try and catch up to Lumen Christi. Who knows? And one final story I got, I think you guys will appreciate this. Tyrone Wheatley, the former Michigan standout running back, was just named an inductee into the National High School Hall of Fame. I mean, just an amazing running back in his day. I mean, he was a three-sport star in high school. He played 10 years in the NFL. So congratulations to him. And now I think he's the head coach at Wayne State, isn't
Wayne
he?
State.
Yeah. But he
Yeah.
was before this year's Michigan Wolverines. He was probably my top running back that I ever remember at Michigan. He was fantastic.
Oh, he was incredible. And he's the first Michigan jersey I ever had, number 6.
Okay.
He's probably my first, because he was early 90s.
Yep.
He's like my first vivid memory of Michigan football. Him, and then of course Desmond Howard. Because I was young, 6, 7, 8 years old. But I remember watching him in those Rose Bowls, huge shoulder pads. I mean, just an incredible athlete.
Fast.
It's always we've talked about this before on the pod, but it's always the tall tale that he won a track state title by himself because he was so good at every event. Now I will say, there was a Twitter, he tweeted something out at one point, and I replied to a tweet, and he was tagged in it. Right. And I said, the legendary story of Tyrone Wheatley winning a track state title by himself. And he actually replied, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. And he said, I didn't win it by myself, but I did win a lot of events. So it's a little bit of a skewed story that he won the track state title by himself. But
the myth was he scored every point and they won the state title. He scored 40 out of 49. Right. Okay. He won 4 events. So he pretty much won the title for him.
Well, the question is, what was the second place's team's score? If they had 39 or lower, then he won it by himself.
That's a good point. Good point.
That's a good point.
Yeah. He was a stud, that's for sure. And, he was a parade All-American in football, 67 touchdowns in high school football. Unbelievable. And he was all-state in basketball. So well-deserved honor. Little side note, joining him from Michigan, there's 10 players, 10 former athletes in the National High School Hall of Fame. Number 10, Brad Van Pelt from Owasso is also in that Hall of Fame. So Tyrone gets to join them. All right, guys, let's take one more quick pause and finish strong with a Tedtertainment tonight right after this.